And good evening. Tonight, breaking news, the U.S. striking back at Iran after 2 American service members were shot down in a helicopter. The full scale of the counterstrike still coming into focus. CENTCOM calling the attack a proportional response to Iranian aggression, referring to Iran's attack on a U.S. Apache helicopter like the one you see here. An Iranian drone downing the chopper with 2 soldiers inside as they patrolled near the Strait of Hormuz. The Americans plunging into the waters off the coast of Oman. They survived the impact, treading water there, until they were rescued by an unmanned U.S. Navy boat similar to this one. It brought them to safety in a historic first for American forces. It all comes as violence across the region ramps up, Israel launching a new round of attacks in Lebanon despite their ceasefire, and Iran firing towards Israel. This missile intercepted, landing in a rural part of Syria. Look at that. Now concerns of a widening conflict mounting once again just hours after President Trump said a deal to end this war was, in his words, in the final throes. We have heard that before from him. Courtney Cubie is following it all and leads us off.
Tonight, the U.S. striking back, launching what CENTCOM calls self-defense strikes and a proportional response to unjustified Iranian aggression. After President Trump said the Iranian regime shot down a U.S. Army Apache helicopter in the middle of a ceasefire. Posting there were 2 pilots involved, both are safe and uninjured. Nevertheless, the United States must, of necessity, respond to this attack. The 2-seater helicopter was flying near the coast of Oman in the middle of the night, patrolling to prevent Iranian attacks on commercial ships, when a U.S. official tells NBC News the Apache was hit by an Iranian drone crashing into the Strait of Hormuz. The crews survived the impact, floating alone in the dark waters until that remarkable rescue, the first of its kind by an unmanned U.S. Navy military boat like this one. A U.S. official saying both soldiers are receiving medical attention, but their injuries are not life-threatening. We recently had an exclusive look at the Bahrain-based U.S. Navy unit operating these drone boats, using artificial intelligence to give the U.S. an advantage in these waters.
But now, with systems like these, they can maintain their presence here at sea.
President Trump previously saying he would restart the war against Iran if a U.S. soldier was killed.
If they kill U.S. troops, I think I would do that very quickly.
And now we're learning more about other Iranian regime attacks in the Strait of Hormuz. A U.S. official telling NBC News Iran has been aggressively launching attack drones towards traffic, including the U.S. military and commercial ships, in the strait for days, the U.S. military shooting most of them down. All as President Trump again overnight touted progress in talks with Iran.
The strait will open up right away. It'll open up immediately upon signing, which could be in 2 or 3 days.
Courtney Cubie joins us tonight from Washington. Courtney, that rescue was simply incredible. I know you have more new reporting about that mission.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. A U.S. official tells us that once those U.S. soldiers climbed into that drone boat, it transported them a short distance where a U.S. military helicopter picked them up, literally hoisted them out of the water, and they were taken ashore to a U.S. medical facility in the region. Now, there may be some questions about exactly what the U.S. military means by these retaliatory strikes being proportional. Basically, what that means is they will go after something that was a direct threat as part of the attack that they are responding to. So in this case, it was a drone that the U.S. military is responding to, again, at the order of President Trump. So the kinds of things that the U.S. military would likely be targeting would be things like coastal radar sites, drone sites, places where they would launch these drones. And, Tom, we've seen them go after these same sorts of locations in recent months, even during the ceasefire.
Okay, I want to bring in NBC News military analyst and retired Colonel Steve Warren. Steve, this is pretty incredible stuff we're seeing here. Let's start with that drone rescue, and we'll get to the strikes in a minute. Have you heard about this technology? Have you seen it? It feels like drones are becoming more and more part of the battlefield.
Yeah, Tom, this is a glimpse into the future, right? I mean, this Unit 59, which has been part of U.S. Central Command for about 3 years now, has been aggressively experimenting with the use of these unpiloted ships, unpiloted craft, unpiloted submarines even, and adding in artificial intelligence and semi-autonomous capabilities. It really is what's coming around the corner.
Let's talk about these retaliatory strikes now. We're trying to get to a peace deal here. You have this issue where a drone takes out an Apache helicopter. You know, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was a mistake. Wasn't a mistake. We'll find out later. What does this do to the peace talks, and what do you think about these retaliatory strikes?
Yeah, so I see this, partly because U.S. Central Command has been very clear that they intend to respond proportionally. And, of course, as you said, the Iranians, they've issued a statement that makes it sound like it might have been an accident, a mid-air collision or something like that. So both of those facts tell me there isn't a lot of intent behind this. So it doesn't feel like a deliberate escalation, bringing us up to another level. So I think that's what's important to keep in mind. This is more like sort of the standard bumping and shoving that you would see whenever two armed foes are standing toe-to-toe.
Yeah, well, when you think about where this war is going and where it's headed, we had targeted sort of the missile launchers. We had targeted some of the key military targets that they had wanted in Iran. Where does the U.S. go from here if this war continues and there is no peace plan?
Yeah, so if it continues, I think you'll see us pick up sort of where we left off. Continued focus on the Iranian missile capability. There's a little bit of a disagreement sort of in the public on how much the Iranian capability has been destroyed. The president recently on Meet the Press to Kristen Welker told her about 21% remaining. However, I heard Senator Mark Warner say that he believes about 70% of the Iranian capability remains. So that's a wide range. The answer is somewhere in the middle, but that will probably be the first set of targets that we go after if full-scale operations continue.
All right, Colonel Steve Warren, always great to have you on the broadcast. We thank you. Now to the other breaking news we're following. A verdict reached late today in the high school track meet stabbing trial. 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony found guilty of murdering teenager Austin Metcalf. Emotions high outside the courthouse, heated arguments unfolding as others in support of Anthony break down in anguish. Our Ryan Chandler is at the Texas courthouse and has more on the jury's decision.
Tonight, emotions boiling over outside the courthouse. Protesters in each other's faces, some openly weeping. And for others, relief that justice was served.
You think this is justice for Austin?
I believe so.
As a Texas jury finds 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony guilty of murder for stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet last year.
You will never, ever disrespect a black woman like that.
Numerous witnesses said Anthony instigated the confrontation, the prosecution calling his actions unjustified and intentional, telling the jury, you don't get to meet a shove with a stab, especially if you provoke the shove. In closing arguments Tuesday, the defense again tried to portray Metcalf as the aggressor, that he made physical contact first, and Anthony defended himself in a split second of chaos. What was it like?
What was it like?
When the verdict was read.
I feel like it was designed to protect white people, the system, and it was not designed to protect black people. It's self-defense.
Supporters of Anthony have raised concerns for a fair trial after no black people were seated on the jury. Inside the courtroom, tears from both families. Anthony's mother described as weeping, later asking the court to please have mercy on my son.
Okay, Ryan Chandler joins us tonight live from McKinney, Texas, outside that courthouse. Ryan, Karmelo Anthony is still waiting to learn his sentence.
He is. We're awaiting updates, watching for every update, every minute, every hour. No telling yet, but we do expect a sentencing decision tonight. Tom, we can tell you Anthony was in tears as the jury left to decide that fate. He could face up to 99 years in prison, though the defense is trying to shorten that window with a sudden passion provision to just 2 to 20 years. The prosecution is urging the jury to enact a lengthy prison sentence to send a message to Collin County. He told them nothing you do will take more from Karmelo Anthony than he has taken from the Metcalfs. Tom.
Okay, Ryan Chandler first. Ryan, thank you. For more on the verdict, I want to bring in NBC News legal analyst and a good friend of Top Story, Danny Savallo. So, Danny, let's start here. When the jury got this, it didn't take them long. It was very fast. Do you even know how long? It was like a couple hours. A couple hours. Usually, what does that tell you?
Oh, it tells me that the jury has very little trouble arriving at a verdict. And, lawyers like me can engage in all kinds of navel-gazing and astrology about what a short verdict means. But believe me, until it's actually announced, no one in that courtroom knows for sure what the verdict is.
They had gone after a self-defense that ultimately did not work. Where do they go wrong there?
I wouldn't say they went wrong. The defense doesn't get to choose its facts. The prosecution chooses its own facts it wants to take to trial. This is just one of those cases for the defense where the facts were really, really bad. They did the best they could with a lousy set of facts for the defense. And so the self-defense angle was really their only option, and it really just was never there.
Allegations of racism. You heard it there in Ryan Chandler's report that there were no black jurors on the jury. Does that give him any hope of an appeal?
Not likely. You're talking about what's called a Batson challenge. And the Supreme Court has said when you have these peremptory challenges, we get a certain number of challenges for any reason at all. We can strike someone. But the Supreme Court long ago said there is an exception to that. For example, if you use peremptory challenges impermissibly to remove someone based on their race, then that is not allowed. I've been Batson challenged, and then you have to explain to the judge, no, I didn't remove this juror for their race. I removed it for another reason. And that other reason that the prosecution gave was that I believe those prospective jurors were somehow related to the school district or education or had some connection. That, to me, sounds like a choice that would stand up on appeal, but you never know.
What do you think about sentencing here?
So it's really interesting in Texas. This passion element to sentencing has nothing to do with guilt. Instead, at sentencing, it can dramatically drop the sentencing range, as we already heard, from 5 to 99 years, now 2 to 20. Interestingly, that's the same sentencing range as manslaughter, a crime that the jury specifically considered but rejected in the course of their deliberation.
And why do you think this part of the case is taking so long? Is it because it's a young man, they're going to decide his future?
Because the passion is really, it goes to the core of this case. This was never really a manslaughter case because, you know, the stabbing wasn't an accident. This was never a self-defense case. But when it comes to passion, the defendant has a shot there. And by the way, sentencing, we don't pay as much attention to it. It is every bit as important as the guilt phase. Yeah. And this is a great example. His sentence could drop by literally 80 years.
There was so much tension around this case. We saw it outside there in the courthouse every single day of this trial. What type of pressure does that put on prosecutors and even the judge? They have to sort of block it out.
I think it was a lot harder for the judge. The judge's job during a trial, especially a high-profile trial, is really difficult. They have to do all things and be all things. They have to make sure the trial meets constitutional standards. They also have to protect and take care of a jury, a bunch of strangers who don't want to be there, and you have to shield them from all outside influences. I would say, even though the prosecutors and the defense team are doing all the work leading up to the trial, for a judge, a high-profile trial can be a stressful event indeed.
Danny Saval, it's always great to have you here. We thank you. We appreciate it. We want to turn out to the life-threatening flash floods sweeping through the Midwest, streets completely underwater. And tonight, millions are in the path of severe storms, including the risk for tornadoes. Our Maggie Vespa is tracking it all.
Tonight, chilling new video of a truck turned on its side by flash flood waters in southern Indiana. Watch as the driver tumbles out of the vehicle into the rushing water.
One just jumped out.
And look at this, what appears to be a propane tank spewing gas as it's swept away. Rescue boats deployed as residents race to evacuate. The deluge swallowing trucks and tractors and leaving this baseball field totally submerged.
We've lived here 25 years. Never seen it like this.
A powerful system tearing through Kansas overnight, bringing hurricane-force winds with gusts topping 100 miles per hour. One driver miraculously uninjured after she was blown off the highway. High winds in New Mexico whipping up walls of dust, blinding drivers. While back east, the flood threat isn't over as more storms slam the region.
We're scared. We're nervous, but we got to clean up now and hope it doesn't come back.
Maggie Vespa joins us now live tonight. Maggie, the threat is far from over.
Yeah, Tom, that's right. More storms are firing up as we speak. Those same parts of Indiana and Kentucky could see more torrential rain. And then across the southern plains, close to 10 million Americans right now are bracing for powerful, potentially violent storms, even possible tornadoes tonight. Tom.
Could be a violent night. Okay, we thank you, Maggie. Now we turn to politics and the high-stakes race for Democrats in Maine. The controversial Senate candidate, Graham Plattner, is poised to win tonight's primary, even as he faces a series of scandals. NBC's Ryan Nobles is there for us.
Tonight, the major test for Graham Plattner. Will his scandals dampen Democrats' desire to nominate him to take on Republican Susan Collins in the high-stakes Maine Senate race?
The reason they keep getting everything wrong is they think this is a race about me, but it isn't. This is a race about us.
The Marine vet turned oyster farmer has tapped into a wave of progressive support. but also faces several controversies, including past social media posts where he blamed victims for sexual assault, his tattoo resembling a Nazi SS symbol, which he says he did not know the meaning of and covered up after the backlash, and accusations from a trio of former girlfriends to the New York Times that described his behavior as toxic and unsettling, one saying he twisted her arm behind her back and shoved her into a bedroom.
There are some allegations in this piece that I just want to be kind of unequivocal about are simply not true.
Collins going after Plattner today.
The allegations against Graham Plattner are extremely troubling and serious.
Some Maine Democrats telling us they do have concerns.
Some of the latest things that have come out about him being a woman make me somewhat concerned about his feelings about equality of women.
But most we spoke to remain willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I think he represents the working class.
Do you think what he could bring to the table outweighs any concerns you have in that regard?
I think so. I mean, he seems like a really down-to-earth guy. You know, it's just like, I hate saying this, but sometimes I feel like it's the lesser of two evils.
Ryan joins us now from Maine. Ryan, that Maine seat is critical for Democrats' hopes of winning back the Senate. Walk our viewers through why that is.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. The way the Senate cycle goes with 6-year terms, sometimes they're better for Democrats, sometimes they're better for Republicans. This year, the map favors Republicans, so Democrats need every pickup opportunity they can get, and Maine is key to their path to the majority, especially when you consider the incumbent, Susan Collins, is a rare Republican representing a blue state in the Senate, Tom.
Yeah, and then, Ryan, from being out there on the campaign trail, how would you explain it to our viewers? You look at some of these allegations, right? And they are things that are reminiscent of what President Trump faced as well, and the accusations and scandals that he has faced. Plus, you have the whole issue with the tattoo, whether it was a Nazi tattoo, whether he knew it or not. I mean, there seems to be, quote unquote, a lot of baggage there. Why do you think Democrats are willing to look the other way for this candidate?
You know, Tom, it's very interesting being here on the ground and talking to voters about that exact question. And one of the women that you saw in our piece was very conflicted walking in, trying to decide whether or not she was going to vote for Graham Plattner. And she was talking about that she felt she really needed to send him a message because she wasn't happy about all of these controversies in her background. But she was also very clear that she wanted to send what she called the establishment a message. She resented the fact that national Democrats and people in Washington, D.C. were trying to come to Maine to tell them who their Senate candidate should be. She didn't know who she was going to vote for as she walked into the voting booth. We caught up with her after the fact, and she told us that she decided to vote for Plattner. She felt like she needed to send that message to the establishment more than she needed to send it to Plattner. And that could be part of the reason why he seems to be gaining support, even though he has all these scandals surrounding his campaign.
From the voters you're talking to, and we'll find this out later in the general election, but Susan Collins, she is not MAGA. She is not aligned with the president. But is she seen as establishment, and that's what's hurting her as well?
I do think that's part of the reason that you see so much of a groundswell support for a candidate that is so different. And that's part of the reason why Graham Plattner has caught some momentum here. The other Democrat possibility here was the governor, Janet Mills, who is also a woman in her 70s, much like Susan Collins. The folks that want change want someone completely different than Susan Collins. All that being said, we should not underestimate Susan Collins' base of support here in Maine. We talked to a lot of Republicans as well, Tom, who feel that Plattner's problems are going to lead to another Susan Collins victory. Keep in mind that she's been doubted many times before. In fact, the last 2 election cycles, she was predicted to lose, and both times she way outdid expectations, and that's part of the reason that she is looking to win her 6th term to the Senate here in Maine.
All right, Ryan Nobles on the campaign trail for Top Story. We thank you. We're back in a moment with the frightening scene at a Florida Navy base. Look at this, a man caught on camera getting attacked by a shark. How he made it out alive. Plus the new study out on alcohol. How many drinks are too many every day? We're going to break it down with the doctor and one of the researchers. And the massive recall tonight impacting some of the most popular cars in the country over concerns they could burst into flames. We'll explain ahead on Top Story. We're back now with the terrifying shark attack in the Florida Panhandle. A man fighting for his life after a brutal struggle with a shark. The violent encounter caught on camera. Our Steve Patterson has that video.
Tonight, the violent shark attack caught on camera. A man spotted fighting for his life, blood in the water, and harrowing pleas for help. It happened at a naval facility in Panama City Monday morning.
Shark attack out at the Navy base.
Authorities say 2 staff members went for a swim in the nearby recreational marina when the shark struck, attacking one of the men, severely injuring both of his arms.
Have you got the person out of the water? No, the person I think is still in the water.
First responders rushing the man to a local hospital. A naval commander saying their actions were critical.
We continue to have the safety of all our personnel paramount in all of the operations that we do on board the base.
Look at it. Oh my gosh.
The attack comes during a string of similar shark sightings.
Oh my gosh.
From a nature trail in Brooklyn
Wow, that's sick.
to a fisherman hooking a great white in Nantucket.
Yeah.
Tonight, authorities say that naval staff member in Florida is now recovering from surgery.
Steve Patterson joins us now. Steve, that video is just horrific. Is there any update on the man's condition?
Tom, authorities have yet to identify the man. They believe he's in his late 20s. We know he was originally taken to the hospital in critical condition, underwent that surgery, recovered, and then was transferred to yet another hospital still in critical condition. So everything we know, he's got a long road ahead. But as for his condition as we speak, unknown.
We're back with a decision sending shockwaves through the world of college sports. A judge ruling that Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby, you see him here, can play this season, even though the NCAA banned him after he admitted to placing thousands of bets on games, including 40 involving his own team. The decision to let him back in sparking outrage. The Athletic reporting that leaders of the Big Ten Conference are meeting tomorrow to discuss a league-wide ban on Texas Tech. That according to 2 Big Ten sources. And there's a possibility that ban could apply to all Texas Tech teams, not just football. Joining us tonight is one of the reporters who broke that story, Seth Emerson, senior writer for The Athletic. Seth, thanks for joining Top Story tonight. To put this in context for viewers who maybe aren't familiar with college football, this would be like a judge overturning Pete Rose's lifetime ban for betting on baseball. Explain why the judge has decided to let Sorsby play next season.
Well, the explanation was basically mental distress that it would cause Brendan Sorsby to not play football. Obviously, there's a lot of disagreement about that throughout the college football world. Basically, only the area around Lubbock, Texas, is the only part of the country that favors this ruling based on everything we're hearing. Yes, Pete Rose was banned for betting on his own team. Brendan Sorsby was found to bet on his own team when he was in Indiana in 2002. He is now at Texas Tech. The judge, interestingly, said he would be suspended for the first 2 games of this season because that was actually a suggestion given by Sorsby and his team, and the judge took it. Now, whether this sticks, we'll see. The NCAA is appealing, but an appeal, how quickly will it happen? The season starts in late August, but the wheels are in motion elsewhere, not only in the Big Ten, but Georgia and Nebraska have already announced that, or said that they are going to ban their teams from playing or scheduling Texas Tech teams in all sports, not just football. And there's just a lot of backlash against this decision
Seth, so, I mean,
against
there's a
Texas Tech.
Yeah, there's a lot of tough talk in college sports, and it's obviously changed a lot over the last 5 years with everything you've mentioned and just NIL and everything else. What happens here? I mean, does Texas Tech eventually blink?
I would lean towards saying that is what's going to happen. The Big 12 had a meeting today among, I think it's 8 athletic directors. I think there's going to be another meeting on Thursday. And Texas Tech is isolated. Nobody has publicly come to their defense, including in the Big 12. And I think the hope here is that there will be a lot of pressure on Texas Tech to just sit Brendan Sorsby on their own. We will see if that happens. Because Texas Tech has.
You think sitting him on the bench is enough, or removing him from the team?
So removing him from the team,
okay.
Suspending him for the season, I think would be the. Now, whether they will do that, I don't know. Texas Tech has been willing to buck the system and to kind of play the heel. and maybe they will. But there is certainly a tremendous amount of pressure on them. They don't have any friends in this issue right now.
And this is a turning point, right, for really all the sports. I mean, people are going to be watching this because so many young people are getting involved with gaming, with gambling. It is everywhere. Sports gambling, it's in broadcast. It's everywhere you look. And at some point, this was going to come to a head. And I feel like it's come to a head with this case. I know we have the NBA and those players that were betting and the former players, but you have an active player betting on teams he was on. It doesn't get more real than this one.
Yeah, and that's why this is such a third rail issue for people. Like there have been debates over eligibility, and people in the SEC were mad when Alabama played a basketball player who had actually been on an NBA team and played in a game. But this is different because gambling is the third rail, and there's a concern that if this happens, that if he's able to play, that it'll send the wrong message, and that basically college players can gamble. And even gamble on their own team.
It is summertime. College football season will start very soon. Do we know when they have to make a decision by?
Kickoff of Texas Tech's first game. I mean, this is college sports. I've covered this for a while. There's some wild things that happen. I don't know that it'll take that long. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens by the end of this week. But the question is, how dug in is Texas Tech? Because everyone else is dug in. But ultimately, I don't know. I don't know who will blink first.
Okay. Seth Emerson, you can read his byline in The Athletic. Seth, we thank you for that. Now to Top Stories newsfeed, we start with a massive recall for Jeeps. The car maker Stellantis says it's pulling back more than 1.3 million vehicles. The reason? They could suddenly catch fire, including in your garage. Imagine that. The recall applies to Wrangler SUVs and Gladiator trucks, which are so popular, the ones that were made between 2021 and 2025. The company is now warning owners to park outside and away from other buildings and cars until that issue is fixed. And the prediction market Kalshi taking new steps to crack down on insider trading. The company confirming to NBC News it will soon make users disclose their employer before placing certain trades that involve sensitive information. It comes as Kalshi has faced scrutiny over allegations of insider trading and market manipulation, especially around elections. And in Louisiana, this is the craziest story of the day. The chase for a DUI suspect ended up in murky waters. Look at this. You see the man splashing around there, trying to swim away. The problem is a swamp. Keep an eye on the right side. There's an alligator closing in and eventually attacks him. Police say that suspect was arrested after climbing out of the swamp with injuries to both arms, I should say. I told you it was crazy. And for the first time in more than 25 years, the FDA has signed off on a new sunscreen ingredient. It's a chemical compound that's popular in many places around the world, including Europe and Australia. So what makes this ingredient so different? Well, experts say it blocks out both types of UV light, the ones that cause sunburn and the ones that cause aging and wrinkles. The new sunscreens are expected to be available by the end of the year. Then at Top Stories Health Check, and the latest study trying to answer the question, how much alcohol should we be drinking? New research published in the Journal of Studies on Alcohol and Drugs says the answer is no more than 1 drink per day. Researchers finding the risk of dying from an alcohol-related disease or injury jumps from 1 in 1,000 at roughly 1 drink a day to 1 in 25 for 2 drinks a day. That's crazy, a number that had previously been considered safe. Here to help us break it all down is Dr. Priscilla Martinez. She's a co-author of the study and a deputy scientific director of the Alcohol Research Group at the Public Health Institute in California. Doctor, thanks for being here. I want to be really honest with you. I think people are confused because even when my team came to me today with a story, I'm like, I feel like we're getting these studies every week. There's a study every week and people get really confused. Walk me through how your team arrived at the recommendations of no more than 1 drink per day.
Sure thing, and thanks for having me. We wanted to answer the question, how does drinking alcohol affect the health of Americans? And we did this by looking at how drinking at different levels increases the risk of either dying from an alcohol-related cause or getting an alcohol-related disease. And importantly, we used U.S. data to answer this question. So it was very specific to Americans. We used national survey data and national statistics on mortality and disease. And we found that at low levels of consumption, so less than 7 drinks per week, there was no overall beneficial effect of drinking on health, and that drinking above 7 or more drinks a week, so more than 1 drink a day, is associated with an increased risk of dying from an alcohol-related cause, like you just noted. And that's how we got to that 1 drink a day limit.
The report was actually commissioned, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, by the Biden administration, right? For the latest U.S. dietary guidelines, updated recommendations are released. I think it's like every 5 years. But when the Trump administration issued them for 2025, from what I have here in front of me, it omitted specific limits saying only that Americans should consume less alcohol for better health. How important is it to be aware sort of that 1 drink per day maxim?
I think the drinking less is better for your health message is really good. So it's really consistent with the scientific evidence. I think it's great. However, it's important that you have some specific guidance to give people, because people will really reasonably ask, well, how much is too much? And so that's what I think is missing from the current guidelines and what I hope people take from this study.
And then we've seen reports that tout the benefits of certain types of alcohol for the heart, right? Maybe it's red wine in moderation. Is any of that true? Do you buy into any of that?
What I tell people when they ask me this question is that ethanol is ethanol and your body doesn't care. So whether it's wine, beer, spirits, liquor, it doesn't really matter for your heart. It's more about how often and how much you drink.
And just, I know the answer to this, but if you don't drink at all during the week, but then you want to have 5 drinks on Friday, that it's not the same math, right?
You are absolutely correct. Because one of the other things that we looked at was how much does it matter how much you drink at one time? And this is also one of the reasons why we landed on the 1 drink a day limit, is because drinking more than 1 drink a day or per occasion drinking, the increased the risk of dying and getting a disease also increased. So, and you know, when you have more at one time, sometimes our judgment isn't as great. We get into fights. We decide to ride a bicycle with no helmet or headlights. And so drinking more than 1 drink in any occasion really increases your risk of experiencing negative outcomes.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I guarantee you when I have too many drinks, I don't think about riding the bike with no headlights or helmet, but other things do come into my mind. Dr. Martinez, we thank you for being here. We know this is a serious topic. We appreciate you and talking to us about the study.
Thanks for having me.
Now to our series, The Cost of Denial, where we investigate the challenges people face with insurance. Tonight, one family's desperate struggle to keep their daughter alive and how it put them more than $1 million in debt. Here's Kate Snow.
Candy Lavasser is a nurse. Her husband, Larry, a retired state trooper. They say they had to make a choice, go into massive debt, or their 24-year-old daughter, Rachel, would die.
I've seen a lot in almost 40 years of emergency work. And to see your own daughter in front of you in such a bad position is brutal, absolutely brutal.
This is Rachel's room.
Candy showed us her daughter's bedroom. Rachel has autism and a complex form of obsessive-compulsive disorder that convinces her she's contaminated, could infect others, and needs to die.
Look at this one. It's okay if all you did today was survive.
Yes.
Rachel has attempted suicide numerous times, her entire family fighting to save her, including Sister Ellie.
I just miss my sister.
For years, the family says their insurance covered in-network therapists, psychiatrists, and 3 residential facilities.
Hi, Rachel. This is Kate.
Over the phone, Rachel told us why she left the 3rd facility.
The therapist there had basically just given up on me, and she had told me that I wasn't getting better there, and they couldn't do anything else to help me.
I mean, we were just lost.
Do you start to feel desperate?
We are desperate,
We
yes.
are.
Then they discovered a program within Shepherd Pratt Hospital right in their home state of Maryland. Like many mental health providers, the program doesn't participate with any health insurance, even though the broader hospital does.
We have a co-insurance.
The Lavassers say when they called their insurance company, several representatives gave them hope the stay might be covered.
They said, well, if you all can prove that Rachel is getting care that she can't get anywhere else, then we would tend to cover that.
to get her in, we took out a second mortgage on our house.
On your house?
Yes.
That paid for Rachel's initial $60,000 20-day stay.
This was what we were searching for.
That's Rachel?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The specialized care, her parents say, finally started turning Rachel's life around. They kept her there for a little over a year. Now they owe about $1.3 million.
Did you keep her in the program despite the huge bills because you thought it was saving her life?
Oh,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely.
It did save her life, yes.
I mean,
Yes, no doubt about it.
how do you put a price on your daughter's life?
This is insurance records.
Their insurance agreed to reimburse a small portion of the facility's cost, but despite several appeals, not nearly as much as they'd hoped. Now the hospital is asking for payment. This is the Sheppard Pratt campus in Towson, Maryland. We reached out and they said they don't comment on patient care, even though Rachel signed an authorization form allowing Sheppard Pratt to talk about her health information with NBC News. Rachel remains hospitalized, the family desperate for her treatment to continue, treatment they know they can't afford, but believe Rachel can't live without.
What's your perspective on the way our mental health care system is designed?
It's a mess. And it has been one of the most frustrating and disheartening things that we've ever dealt with.
And with that, Kate Snow joins us. Kate, I don't know anyone who can watch this and not feel for the parents. Yeah. So what happens next? They're in so much debt.
Yeah, so it's a really good question. So in an email, an executive with Sheppard Pratt Hospital told the family that they would be willing to enter into sort of, they call it a single case agreement, a one-time negotiation with the insurance company to try to cover more of this specialized treatment. The family says they haven't heard back about that in weeks. Separately, the state of Maryland, Tom, is the one that pays for their insurance because he was a former state trooper. The state told us, well, we're going to help them get in-network treatment for this very same kind of treatment, but in-network. And they actually said to us that they reached out to the family, and the family's been in touch with an in-network facility. Candy said to us today that is absolutely not true. They never reached out to them, and she finds that infuriating.
Yeah, and the struggle's still back and forth. Seems like it'll be ongoing. Okay, Kate, we thank you for bringing that powerful story to us tonight. Coming up here on Top Story, the protests breaking out in Northern Ireland over a violent stabbing attack. The fiery demonstrations in the streets as leaders call for calm. Plus, meet the new team of NASA astronauts set to lead the next high-stakes Artemis mission. Stay with us. We're back now with Top Story's Global Watch and an update on that devastating earthquake in the southern Philippines. Rescue teams still searching through the rubble, looking for any signs of survivors. Authorities now confirming at least 37 are dead and more than 30,000 others have been forced from their homes. The 7.8 magnitude quake, the strongest to hit the country in nearly 50 years. Also tonight, protests erupting in Northern Ireland. Police arrested a Sudanese man accused of trying to kill someone in a knife attack, apparently trying to behead him. It happened overnight in Belfast, the incident setting off these anti-immigration demonstrations because the suspect is seeking asylum. You can see the crowds in the streets and vehicles on fire. Leaders in the UK now calling on people there to remain calm. And a former Air Canada pilot is now facing fraud charges for allegedly flying more than 900 flights without a proper license. Investigators say Jeffrey Wall served as a captain and flew for the airline between 2009 and 2025, but he's accused of duping federal aviation officials by using phony licenses. Still, Air Canada insists that their passengers were not at risk because their pilots get training every 6 months. Okay, now to the big announcement from NASA introducing the astronauts taking the helm of the next Artemis mission. The four-man crew will build on the success of this year's mission to the moon. Our Tom Costello with the Artemis crew in Houston tonight.
Your Artemis 3 prime crew.
Taking center stage at NASA, the four veteran astronauts, all men, named for the next Artemis mission. Commander Randy Bresnik, pilot Luca Parmitano of the European Space Agency, mission specialist Dr. Frank Rubio, who holds the NASA record of 371 days in space in one stay, and mission specialist Andre Douglas, a retired Coast Guard officer, headed to space for the first time. The Artemis 2 crew, just back from their loop around the moon, passing the torch in Houston.
The Artemis 2 crew, comrade, hands you the baton. You got the controls.
You inspired people worldwide.
But Artemis 3 will not be heading to the moon. Instead, the crew will orbit the Earth, testing docking procedures with lunar landers built by SpaceX and Blue Origin that NASA hopes will return astronauts to the moon in 2028. Are you a little disappointed that you guys aren't going to the moon? You're going to be orbiting the Earth.
Not at all. I mean, the most important Artemis mission is the next one.
But those lunar landers are not yet built. Nearly 2 weeks ago, one of the Blue Origin's rockets that will carry the lunar lander exploded in a massive fireball on the launch pad. And SpaceX's Starship has also suffered setbacks. Still, NASA Chief Jared Isaacman is confident. You are still planning on 2027 for Artemis 3.
This is what NASA does best. Artemis 3 will fly in 2027. Artemis 4 will fly in 2028.
And just like the Artemis 2 astronauts, this is the mock-up that the Artemis 3 astronauts will be training in. Inside this Orion ship, all four preparing for their big orbit around the Earth.
Thank you so much for watching Top Story tonight. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.